Look, for a bootleg show, we're making Dom with High Life here. So, but yeah,
we're doing the best we can. We're getting better every episode, which is the name of the game, right?
Yeah. You like this little emblem right here?
Yeah, I said that when we first logged in. I was like, "You guys got the screen and everything."
See, I didn't have the audio playing for you yet, man. But we got the one, the only, the OG boss. Austin in the house with us. Make some noise for the boss.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome, brother. We're so excited to have you as a guest today.
I thought you were introducing someone else. I was waiting for someone more.
No, man. It's honestly, I'll say, I don't think Will and I would be in the opportunities that we have if it weren't for you, man. So thank you very much for all you've helped us get to at this point. So
absolutely.
Yeah, man.
I feel like happy to connect some dots for DJ.
But we may call you the mayor because you know everybody and everybody likes you. So
you do.
Allegedly.
At least to your face, they like you. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been in town for a minute.
Yeah, for sure.
So we saw the Brewers hat. Give us a background on where you're from.
So I know nothing about sports. I don't like sports. I don't play sports. I don't watch sports. So Michelle, my girl's dad, back in the day, used to own a hat store, like sold all these athletic hats, jerseys, wristbands, all that stuff.
Like lids or something?
What's that?
Like lids?
Yeah, not quite. It was his own shop, Marty's hat shop. Awesome. So he closed that shop in like 2004 or 5, whatever it was. And he put all these hats in storage. And we just recently, a year or two ago, dug them all out. And I'm talking hundreds, maybe thousands of athletic hats, and every time I need a hat.
Vintage athletic gear.
Dude.
Like I see some of the like league fits from the 90s, and I'm like, how do I get one of those like LA like bomber jerseys they had or something like that?
We've sold a lot of it to people, but every time I need a hat, I just go in the storeroom, open the bin, and I'm like, oh, this one's blue.
Dude.
And I'll wear it. People will be like, oh, they'll talk to me about the teams. I have no idea what's going on.
You're
I'm
speaking my love language. Have you been in my walk-in closet yet?
I was going to say, most people that realize they need a hat spend $50 on Amazon, so you're doing better than most.
Dude, I just go in, open a Tupperware bin, pull one out.
Dude, we each have a walk-in closet in our bedroom, and my entire back wall of my closet is layer and layer and layer and layer, like 7 hats deep. I'm into probably the 60s or 70s on lids.
He's got a drop jersey for every NHL, NBA, MLB, NFL.
I've seen a lot of them. I've seen a lot of them at his gigs.
It started as a shtick, and it just kind of turned into, it's like I could walk into a bar to have a drink with my wife and chill with her, and it's one of the bars I will DJ 50 times and no one recognizes me.
I dare say he's almost like...
Because no one cares about him.
He's almost like Drake. He has no allegiance to sports teams anymore. It's getting out of hand.
But yeah, he just likes for the colors. He likes like the colors.
That's what it is. I'm a color scheme guy. The shoes match the hats. It's like Turtle from Entourage, if you can go back that far. But yeah, man, we're super pumped to have you on here today. I know Will and I both say that we're blessed to have the opportunities that you've given us. I don't want to ask you, how did you start DJing? What was your come up like? Because, you've told that story 1,000 times, but we want to get into like Will said, you're the mayor of the DJ world in Charlotte. And, we want to learn more about it. Like, obviously,
okay.
There's a big pissing contest in Charlotte for sure. About DJing, whether
I hear this all the time from DJs because as you're claiming me the mayor, I'm in tune with a lot of DJs. It's particularly if they move here or just start DJing, and they'll hit me up and we'll get to talking. And the number one thing they always say, they're like, Charlotte DJs are so cliquish. There's this click over here, this click over here. That maybe, probably, it would seem that way. I don't know if Charlotte's alone in that. I think a lot of cities are probably like that. I think DJs are competitive and protective. So like Will, for example, he moves to town. He wants to DJ at XYZ bar or ABC bar. The DJs that are there are protective of that gig. They're not very wanting to share it.
I've ran into that when I moved down here. It was weird though. Like coming from DC, when I started in DC, I thought it was going to be very cutthroat. And honestly, it was a little opposite. And And I think DC, when I started DJing, like the nightlife scene, it's one of those things. There's a new bar, new club, new restaurant opening up every other week in DC. So it wasn't hard to get that slide in and honestly do the work that no one else wanted to do. Charlotte, when I moved down here, I will say it has gotten a lot better, but there's not a ton of ground to spread in Charlotte for DJs.
Well, I'll tell you where that mentality comes from DJs like myself have been doing it for a while. Let's say 10 years, give or take, more or less. I've been doing it longer. I know you guys are newer. Go back 10 years ago, DJ gigs were very limited. There was 10, 15, maybe 20 spots you could DJ.
Wow.
And only 5 of those being, marquee clubs, coveted gigs. So DJs back then learned, to be very protective, very close the doors, gatekeepers, and they've kind of kept that. Nowadays in Charlotte, there's so many gig opportunities, whatever you want, whether you want a dive bar or a marquee club or an EDM spot. There's just so many opportunities.
Do you see one thing that I was looking at the other day, just while we're talking about clubs and like coveted gigs, like you've been in the music industry longer than us, with festivals versus nightclubs, like what do you see DJs, let's just say they're an EDM DJ and they're chasing, they want to be like John Summit or whatever. Are they chasing like festivals, like premier nightclubs? Like, what's the forecast of somebody that's trying to get to that level?
So that's a weird thing. So some thoughts popped in my head. The number one thing I deal with, so you guys know this, I book predominantly what we'll call bars, party bars, or nightclubs, commercial dance nightclubs. A lot of younger DJs coming up, they see John Summit, Diplo, Marshmello, whatever on the big stage. They come to me and say, I want to play XYZ spot, a spot we've both played. And I'm like, you're confused. What I do is not what John Summit does. There's one thing I always say. I hate the term DJ because it's so loose. Like you guys have been in the wedding, sector. A lot of like wedding DJs, but you're going to festivals to see John Summit. He's a DJ. I'm a DJ when I'm at Blind Pig or Gin Mill playing party rock stuff. We're all DJs, but are we? Are we the same? You know what I mean?
Right.
Guys,
I think you're alluding to something that we talked about last week on the show, which was the amount of like flack that Aoki takes and took, not understanding like he was DJing the Banana Split Thursdays with AM back in the day, and he could tear a vinyl apart with his fingers. And nowadays they see him on stage throwing cakes, jumping around, hitting song by song, not understanding the production that goes into it. And I think that there's a difference between Aoki, John Summit, and James Hype. James Hype is a producer who is a very different style DJ on stage versus John Summit, who is probably more of a traditional producer. He's there to throw a show. He's not doing what we're doing at Gin Mill.
Yeah. It's the EDM and the production game has shifted things too, because John Summit makes tracks. He opens up Ableton or Fruity Loops, whatever he does. He makes EDM tracks. But we've gotten to a point in musical history where, so John Summit makes all these cool tracks. We're all like, these are awesome. Now we want to see you play. Now he has to go DJ and perform like a live concert. When I was young, in the early 2000s, guys that made EDM or hip hop beats or whatever, they didn't perform live ever. So I always get that confused, or not confused, but people will talk to me. Oh, I saw Zed live and he's awesome. Marshmello. And I'm like, they are awesome. But me and Marshmello are different. I don't know if Marshmello could do what I do. I certainly can't do what he does. But to the normal person, they're like, Marshmello's a DJ.
In line with that, the few times I've seen you DJ, and based off what I think I know about like your style, you're able to scale genres and BPMs very fast, which just shows like a huge versatility in music. A, do you like all kinds of music? And then B, is that true? Is that fair to say your style is like you're playing Blink-182, you're turning around to Ja Rule, you're turning around to just bam, 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 versus Zed is up there pretty much in a tight window, if we're being honest, like BPM genre-wise?
Well, I always get called a hater about EDM guys specifically. I went and saw Zed live. And again, Zed, amazing producer, phenomenal talent. And I was with some people, they're like, man, Zed killed it. And I said, well, yeah, because that set was very thought out and very much put together. He made edit A specifically to mix with edit B. He ain't straying. We're me. If I'm at a club and I'm playing Taylor Swift and I plan on playing Rihanna next, but they're not feeling the Taylor Swift, and I decide that Rihanna's not the move, I got to shift to Ja Rule or Blink-182 or Morgan Wallen.
That's right.
So like, those guys have it easy. Like you said, they're just
right.
Zed's doing what Zed's doing. You and I bought a ticket and that's the fucking deal. When I'm at a club, like I kind of got to do what the people want or keep them there drinking.
And that's why we were just talking yesterday or the day before on the show about how a lot of these DJs are flipping their tracks now, remixing their own work to give more energy. So it's like, Want to Be Where You Are by John Summit. When he plays that now, it's not the original that you hear on the radio. It's some bass head version of it.
Yeah.
In conjunction with, we watched behind the scenes Coachella episodes of John Summit and his preparation for his set. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into his set. He flips his tracks, but there is a lot of visual effects that play that emotional role when you go to see him versus going to see me at Jim Mill. Yes, I bring moving headlights now because I want to be a partier. You know, I want the kids to feel it, but
raise the energy.
You're getting a lot more from seeing Zed that you're taking away than what he just put in his music.
Yeah, those guys, I've gone to those before. You get in that debate of pre-recorded sets.
Right.
I don't think those guys are necessarily playing a pre-recorded set. But that set is absolutely worked out. I mean, the light guys, the visual guys.
It is track 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, 20, 32 on 2 USB drives plugged in, and they're going through, hitting their cue points, and moving on. So
yeah, and the
hence
LD
Grimes got caught with her thumb in her bum,
right?
Because of
which would be a good talking point.
Yeah, you want to ask him about it?
Did you see Grimes at Coachella? Did you see that mishap? I know 1,000 people have talked about it.
Yeah. And that's funny that you brought that up. I saw all the DJs online going crazy. And
quick thoughts on, because I even put a comment on Phil Harris's Instagram, which it was, I like to joke in the comments on Instagram, whatever.
He sets them up to get trolled.
I basically said something like, if I had to live beat match by ear at Coachella, it would give me a little bit of anxiety. I think that's a fair statement. And
absolutely.
And so everybody was like, well, you're not a real DJ if you can't do that without anxiety. I'm like, I'd have anxiety if I pre-recorded at Coachella.
Those guys always say it, but what they don't figure out is no one was. So Grimes makes cool music. She's a cool music person. She's on the pulse of cool, kitschy, weird music we don't know about. Coachella wanted her to come and play music. They in no way wanted her to go up there and do what Zed does or what I do or what you guys do. And she went up there and maybe had plans to do that. And all these DJs, she didn't mix my ear, blah, 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 all that. You always get those arguments. Like, I mean, she had some technical problems. I was surprised someone didn't come help her. Like,
right. I was going to say, don't enough DJs carry USBs in their back pocket? Where were they at? Where were they at?
Even Paris Hilton gets some under the table help when she's struggling. You know what I mean? Like, you would think Elon Musk's bae would get a little pat on the back debacle.
I felt like part of that was the fault of the Coachella's production managers. Like, that should have been handled, or she should have rehearsed. I mean, I don't know. But
have your set pre-recorded on another thumb drive to stick in if all else fails. Look, honorable for her to get on the mic and own the situation. Sure. I don't know if she dug herself further into a hole, or if that transparency, I think, again, it would hit on either side of the aisle for this. But
that goes back to what we were saying is she makes cool music, electronic music. She can't get up there and play an acoustic guitar and sing like a country singer. So, and she's hot for that audience. They wanted her to perform, so they had her DJ. And it failed. But again, she's not DJing like you and I do. She's not DJing like the other guys do at weddings, or hip-hop guys. That term is so loose nowadays. I'm a DJ.
Right.
Really it's like the term doctor. People say, I'm a doctor. I mean, are you a chiropractor or are you a heart surgeon?
Or a dentist?
So I have a good question on top of that. That's true.
DDS, baby.
I have a funny story about that, actually. I won't say on the show. But so we talked about DJing, production. You do a great job with your company doing all the social media, advertising, marketing. Walk us through, which, by the way, shout out to our logo here. right here. Scratch that.
Oh yeah.
A day in the life of a guy. Let's say he's a full-time DJ, right? Where are you splitting the apples? Like from a production standpoint, from a doing every gig I can do just to cover rent, to marketing, to all these different things. Like, what's your, hey, I'm starting from scratch advice to somebody with those different buckets of, what it really takes?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's gotten tough now with social media and just, DJing is very popular and very visible. So you can be the best DJ in the world, and mixing, you have to be visible for people to notice you, and ultimately for nightclubs to notice you, and you have to know people. It's a very tough job. It's a very thankless job. People see me on Friday night at midnight and the club's packed and they're dancing. They don't know all the stuff that went into that. Will you ask me what do I tell somebody getting into this? What to do or whatever?
Like, should they focus like on production, on marketing themselves? Should they just focus on taking every gig they can get that falls in their lap? Like, where do you balance that?
I guess they would have to list out their goals, like what they want to do. If they want to be John Summit, well, then they need to be in their room locked up and practice in Ableton until they make songs that are good enough that they're going to get asked to play big stages.
Right. Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys do that and a lot of guys chase that, but that's a very tall mountain to climb.
But then you got to play your music, which circles back to the live question. Right. It's like, my personal opinion on that response is, until you are getting to the place where you can turn down work because you're already booked, you take every damn gig you can get. Like, I mean, I don't care if Buffalo Wild Wings is paying you on a Thursday night, baby. You get into B-dubs.
DJs, I tell them this too. Guys say, practice every day. Practice every day in my room for an hour. And that's cool, but that's almost irrelevant. You need to be out in front of an audience and feeling that energy and how that night flows. Yep. There's a DJ that works for me now full time, and 2 years ago he was a EDM kid. He wanted to be John Summit, and I said, okay, that's goal A, and we can put that over here. I'm not a producer. I don't know anything about that. You can go over here and produce your tracks and do that, and I can put you in touch with guys and girls that do that. But if you want to do what I do over here, you need to play all the time. You need to learn all types of music. You need to read crowds. You need to play music that keeps people ultimately drinking or entertained. That's our job as nightclub DJs, to sell alcohol or keep people in the bar so they're buying alcohol. And he did that. And since that time, he's kind of let go of the John Summit dream. I don't think he even does it. He's just full-time, open format top 40 clubs.
That's awesome. That's real, man. And speaking of clubs, venues, what's your number right now? What's your body count on venues?
Me personally?
Yeah. How many spots are you booking right now?
Oh, how many? I thought you were going to ask me how many I've played in my career.
Dude, you probably couldn't even count that high.
How many spots am I booking? That's a two-part answer. So there are some venues that use me exclusively. I exclusively handle their DJ calendar. There are 11 of those that they're not booking any other DJs except through me. And then there's a whole bunch that hit me on like an as-needed basis. Like, hey, we need a DJ, whether it's this Friday or whether it's Saturday, June 3rd, we got a Taylor Swift brunch and we'd like to get a DJ or whatever.
Right on.
I could probably get more, but DJs are hard to deal with.
He's hard to deal with.
I'm the opposite of hard to deal with. Like, who called him directly at 3:30 today on the button? Like, I'm so type A. No, and I'm one of those weird guys, and that's the event side burned into you and I both. We get to gigs super early. I don't care if it's like a 30-person bar or a 3,000-person event. Like, we get there early.
I also, last thought on, I guess, DJs being hard to work with, and then kind of what's happening now where you have all these collabs. So, like, I think Marshmallow's playing a lot with, was it Sudden Death? Like, Steve Aoki, Afrojack. Like, everybody seems, Dom Dalla, John Summit. A lot of joined forces. Your thoughts on going further together? I mean, scratch that, right? Like, what's your thoughts on teaming up to go further?
If that works for you or for the individuals doing that, absolutely, sure. I don't like playing with someone else. It's fun once in a while, but I definitely would not, me personally, wouldn't like become a DJ duo, like say me and Mizzo and just full time the two of us. I don't like that.
Yeah. And that's why we again still have our own separate stuff. But I mean,
I do feel like you have to be me and him are wired very similarly. Yeah. I feel like if you're not, we already have the same style, and he's just not as good looking as me. Other than that, we're pretty much the same.
I'm also like 2 feet shorter than you. But no, like we have the same decks. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things where.
Well, you certainly, if you got two guys or two girls or whatever combo, and you're working on the same goal. I mean, sure. I guess you could get there faster or take some of the workload off.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I'll admit, like. There have been seasons, even recently, and I've been busy with like some stuff, but like I get bored of DJing, and I like at home. You know what I mean? The guys who practice an hour a day. Don't get me wrong. I wish I practiced more, but I think the thing that really got me back into dabbling and noodling in the house with the decks was he came over months and months and months ago, and we went back to back, and it was like it's hard. It's hard to go back to back because instead of thinking like you made the comment, I DJ in my room for hours. I want to get out there. Until you know how to read a room,
right?
It is so difficult because you're not playing to yourself anymore. The bad DJs play to themselves and what they want to hear. The good DJs read the room, and again, maybe a little bit of that event drive. But
50 DJs in Charlotte who are amazing. If the three of us were watching them in your studio right now, you'd be like, "Holy shit, this dude, this girl is dope." And I would absolutely never put them at any of the venues I book. You know what I mean? Like, it just wouldn't fit. That's not to say there isn't a venue for them.
Two that I've been to, especially, like Blind Pig is a little different in its own world. Great venue. Love that venue. One of my favorite venues is still DJ, but Gin Mill and Dandelion Market. And you have to be so sensitive when you play there if you want to keep the room all night long.
Young
it's
kids
like DJing
nowadays.
a high school prom, dude. They'll sit on the floor right in front of you if you.
So on that point, not that this ever happens to Boss, but maybe to us, if a room is rather tough or you just need something to go to, what's a go-to song for you? Even if you're at a wedding, like, hey, it's 7 out of 10. I want to make it 10 out of 10. What's your back pocket go-to stuff?
That's tough. It depends on the crowd. I mean, you could cheap shot and play like Usher, and that's definitely gonna get a reaction.
Hey, that's what I play instead of line dances.
You know, at Cyberpalooza when I had the boys up there with me and everybody went green on my radio. I was playing "Love Story" by Taylor Swift. Does that even count? Does it even count?
I mean, sure. I mean, but we have to remember. I tell DJs this: we're the average customer at the bars, the clubs, the events we're at. They're not as I don't want to say they're not as cool as us. They're not as in tune with music as us. They're not listening to all this cool John Summit, Dom Dollar live sets and Coachella and all this. They're not on these music blogs. They're working at the bank right now, 40 hours a week. So when they're at a bar and they hear "Love Story" Taylor Swift, where you and I think, "Oh my God, this song's terrible. I've heard this 100 times." They're like, "This is the best thing I've ever heard in my life."
Yep.
And following up with that, so just you personally, like obviously you're working throughout the week, weekends are slam. Like, what are you listening to and how do you listen to throughout the week? Like for me, I'm throwing on like, maybe one of Angelo the Kid's playpens or Big Booty.
Sure.
I'm listening to try and do everything, but like
Ja Rule on repeat.
I mean, I also love Ja Rule.
Ja Rule.
What do you listen to, not just for fun, but like educationally to keep up with what you're doing?
Well, I do a lot of country gigs, with the Rose, and I've done a lot of big concerts. So I do listen to the Sirius XM channel, The Highway, which is all the current pop country. Personally, I listen to only punk, like late 90s, early 2000s punk. That's all I was into.
Love that.
My man.
I'll do my research. I will once a week. I have like a little workflow where I will do 3 things. I will look at the Billboard, Spotify charts, and I will just skim through them and say, "Oh, this is a song that's playable, or I can work this in." I'll also go on Record Pool's emails. You know how DJ City will say, "Here's the top 10 hip hop for our record pool," and I kind of stay aware. I'm not gonna say I listen to all of them, but I'm definitely aware of them. I'll listen to them for a second, and I can tell in 2 seconds if a song is something I will play or won't play. That's one thing. The younger DJs with hip hop, they'll say XYZ song is the #1 hip hop song out. TikTok, Spotify, DJ City, #1 song. And I'll listen to it and say, I will never play this song. Ever. I don't care how popular it is. Or it could be even the new Taylor Swift, some of it is insanely popular on the charts, and I can listen to it and be like, I'll never play this song.
So a song, this was on Phil Harris's Instagram yesterday. How do you tell somebody no if they request a song that you're not going to play? Another comment that I got a lot of hate for. How do you, somebody requests a song that's you're not going to play? What do you tell them?
There's 3 parts to that. It depends. We're talking about at a club, at a wedding. If I'm at a wedding, I lie. I say, "Oh my gosh, I don't have it."
Right.
Yeah.
And the Wi-Fi is kind of janky here.
I'm
so
the clean
sorry.
version. Right.
Yeah.
Right. If I'm at a club, it depends on their approach. Typically, their approach nowadays with millennials, they're assholes. So I'm usually mean back. Will you play XYZ? And I'll say, absolutely not.
I love your honesty.
You're so much nice. I lie. I say
he lies.
I say, yeah, I'll get to it in about 10 minutes. They come back in 10 minutes. You haven't played my song. I said, you just used the restroom. I said, I'm sorry. I played it while you were in the bathroom.
GTFO, baby. GTFO.
And I said, I can't play it again. They say, okay. They leave me alone.
I used to do that, but now I'm like a dick now. I want people to know, this is going to sound so egotistical. I want it to be clear that I'm in charge. Yeah. I pick the music. Right. And I want feedback. Requests always
you're
work.
You're getting paid to do something. You gotta honor the venue and the reason that you're there.
Well, yeah.
Set a party, keep a party, sell alcohol. Your song's gonna trash my night. I don't need 100 people leaving the room.
Well, goes back to what we said earlier, that normal people aren't as in tune with music. They don't understand that even though they love that song and they listen to it on the radio and at the gym and on their Spotify, it's just not a good song for the energy we're trying to create. Number 2, what they don't understand is these venues that we work at, they have a brand, they have a format. If that song doesn't fit their brand or format, then no. But they don't understand any of that. I used to try to explain that to people, but I got myself nowhere. And so I just be like, nah.
Young people only have a attention span of so much comprehension, but
right.
Shout out 2429, my man, Boss Austin, in the room with us today, virtually at least. Thanks so much for being here, brother. We're gonna have you on again here real soon, and we're excited to pick the conversation back up.
Okay, I will talk to you soon. I always love talking about DJ stuff. So definitely call me. I mean, this could be a 9-hour podcast.
Hey, we're here for it.
Yeah, man.
Couple Celsiuses, couple good questions. We got to figure out what's your go-to karaoke song next.
We'll answer that.
We'll get to there.
But yeah, man. Well, Will,
keep it real, keep it safe. Drop.
Scratch that. Keep it real safe.
Until next time.
See you, man.
Thank you.